Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing this Friday? Um, Welcome to It's in the Book Show. My name is Tammy, and I am your host. And I'm also the owner of KRC Bookstore. KRC Bookstore is a brand that brings you It's in the Book Show because we believe that everything and anything can be found in the book. So, as you know, we are doing Autism Awareness Month. And as every single Friday that I do this show, I have my shirt. This is my autism shirt. This is actually a shirt from last year. So, every single day I am in my autism awareness shirt, bringing the information out there for autism awareness and what autism looks like to some people, um, breaking um, different stereotypes of autism, bringing about awareness so people, when you see a autism child or adult or somebody that's on the spectrum, that you be more kind and more accepting because they are human beings too. So um, that's what this is all about. We actually have Miss Marie Freeland in the studio, and so we're going to bring her up. I want to be to play her commercial for you so she can tell you a little bit about herself and then come on, let her tell you a little bit about herself. Be available for if you have any questions or concerns. Um, if you are have somebody that's on the autism spectrum in your life, whether it's a child, niece, nephew, cousin, friend, just any part of the community that is dealing with autism, we want you to be aware of the ins and outs of it, and all that. So we're gonna play her commercial, and then we're gonna bring her up.
Breakdown, come on. Hey, come on. Madonna. Okay.
What you just saw is a little bit of the behind the scenes of what it took to go into creating Ava and Aaron's World. I will be a featured guest speaker on KRC Bookstore platform this Friday, where I go into depth about why I created Ava and Aaron's World, what is life like on the spectrum, and how my company, Guiding Care and Guiding Care Hub, is helping to bring that experience as well as resources to other parents in the spectrum community. Look forward to seeing you all 7 p.m. sharp. Thank you. See you there.
Breakdown, come on. Hey.
All right, all right, all right. That is was her commercial that she created, coming on. And let me get this banner going, so y'all can know where to get these shirts from. All right, there's a banner, and we're gonna bring up Miss Marie so she can tell you about herself, her company, what her inspirations were, and what brought her to this place. So we're super excited to have Miss Marie Freeland. So let's welcome her on. Hey, hey, how are you doing today? Take yourself off mute, my dearest.
Listen, help me out today. We okay with that? Thank you so much,
Hey,
Tammy. It is a pleasure.
that's
Good
the
to
world.
see you again. Good to see you again. And
Yes,
thank you so
ma'am.
much for
Yes,
welcoming me
ma'am.
back to your beautiful platform and your show and sharing this space regarding Autism Awareness Month. And again, I love the shirt. I
Thank
love the
you.
shirt. And I know I keep saying I was supposed to get my shirt last Friday, but them kids took me on another path. But I promise you, while we're talking, I'm going to place my order for my shirt. So I look so forward to receiving it. And I'm so grateful for you. So hopefully you've had a wonderful week.
Thank you as well. Um, so what do we want to speak about today? We want to bring some resources and bring some support to these
Yes.
autism moms, these fathers, those who are dealing with people that are on the autism spectrum, to give them, when you have an understanding of things, you have a tendency to respect it when you have a better understanding. And that's what Autism Awareness Month is about. And that's what It's in the
Correct.
Book Show is about, is bringing about awareness so they can have an understanding and have a respect um, for things that people go through when they're dealing with children and adults and so forth that is on the autism spectrum. We love our children.
Yes, we
Wouldn't
do,
trade them
Lord.
for anything in the world. But definitely we want to let them know, so when you see somebody that's going through something, the kid is acting out, you're not just automatically saying, well, hey, you need to get a belt, you know. So
I literally talked about that this week.
us as and us as a community of black people, that's what we do. That's the first thing we want to do.
Oh my
Bust the
God.
belt out, where the switches at.
Yes, yes.
So
That this is definitely true. And I actually there was each day this month on Ava and Aaron's World. That's a platform that I have built kind of under guiding care. So pretty much, let me tell you what guiding care does. I do resources. I try to network with other businesses, especially within minority community, but I'm not solely linked to minority community, that can help build out what I call a 360 view for your children or child that's on autism spectrum. And what that looks like is I have a connection with the school. They specialize with nothing but their staff that is RBT and ABA trained specialists. Likewise, I know a pediatrician who also works with a dentist who only sees and specializes with autism children. And then, of course, myself, I deal with a lot of the legalized documents. I'm a notary. I assist you with that part. I am not an attorney. Let me go ahead and say that. I'm not a lawyer. So for certain specific documents that's surrounding your child, of course I can sign them, make you save a little money there before you go to an attorney, have the documents that you wish to have completed. But as far as an in-depth conversation, definitely get with either a paralegal or a lawyer to kind of map out a plan for what it is for life that's supposed to come for your child. Because one of the biggest things that we fall under in the autism community is we don't plan in advance for life. And that's at the end of the day, I can probably speak for a good, I'm going to say 80% because I see this question a lot. What is your plan for when you're no longer here? And that is the sole focus of my platform. Not the only focus, let me correct myself. That is a primary focus because I do want to plan utilizing the platform to continue on well after I'm gone. And of course, who does that support? That supports my children and children like my children in terms of sponsorships and things like that. I hope to grow to, God willing, in the future, to think about what's going to happen. Again, a lot of us plan to outlive or have our children outlive us. So that's pretty much where we are today.
okay, awesome, awesome. That's something that's very imperative, and I'm glad that you did state that you're able to help with the basic things. Of course,
Yes.
when it gets a little bit more complex, as far as legal issues, you definitely want to seek a paralegal if it's just paper or if it's actual advice of what direction to go to. You definitely want to reach out to a lawyer, but
Yes.
as we know, experience is one of the best teachers about anything. So as an autism parent, you do understand a lot of the legal, listic things of becoming an autism parent or being an autism parent,
Yes.
deciding on what direction you want to go, especially once that kid gets grown,
Yes.
naturally, we think about, okay, if they're normal children, they get 18, they go out there and get a job, they decide to go to school or they decide to go into the workforce, all these promising things for, that so-called normal kid. But then when you have an autism kid, sometimes those things, not sometimes, a lot of times those things are not that simple. It's not straightforward.
Correct.
Yes, autism children, depending on where they're at in the spectrum, can go to college. Now, they're not, all children are not, to the point where they're not able to live on their own. Some of them may be to live on their own with little assistance. And some of them, need, round the clock care, So we're talking about more so of that child that needs that care. If they have the
Correct.
mindset and they're able to do certain things for themselves, they may need some additional assistance. You may have to, appoint a particular person or put some in place where it protects that kid because,
Correct.
for them to be on the autism spectrum, that means somewhere along the line they don't have understanding about certain things. So you definitely want to protect them when it comes down to things like that, especially if you have
Correct.
assets, a house,
And their trust accounts. That's one of the biggest things. Definitely their trust accounts. Having one set up. Uh-oh, Tammy, did we lose you? All I see is there you
Sorry,
go.
y'all. I had a phone call can't come in. So, but yeah,
But this is what
yeah,
I was gonna say. Like trust accounts, I think a lot of parents think, "Oh, I have to have a ton of money." No, you don't.
no.
You just go there. Look, tax season just passed. Let me go and say this. I don't want to step on no toes, but I'm gonna say this to my specific demographic. Not to say this is the case for everybody, but a lot of parents in the minority community are fortunate enough to have financial backing that's provided to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, take at least $50, $100 a month. That's all I'm saying, and
Mm-hmm.
have it automatically debited and go into a trust account. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
going to say like that's the simplest thing to do. I know bills is high, but think about this. If you don't have nothing set up for your child, what's going to happen to them when you go?
Well, when you're thinking about, you getting $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. I've seen people get as much as $10,000,
Correct.
$11,000. $50 is not a whole lot of money. That's just a small chunk out of there, and you have to think about what the reason why you're doing it, and
Correct.
you're building for the future. I mean, that's just like retirement. We have to build for the future because who wants to work until, they're darn near on their deathbed and still have to get up and go to McDonald's. So you have to look at it like that. You have to plan for the future when you have children like these. And, fortunately, I have two other children, which is, they're his younger siblings that understand
Yeah.
that their brother is going to need to have care. I don't put emphasis, me personally, I don't put emphasis on them have to do something for their brother and so forth, but I let them understand where their brother stands.
Correct.
My daughter has always had that understanding because she's close to him in age, but my youngest, as he got older, he's starting to have more of an understanding and more, understanding that okay, this is my brother, and I have to make sure my brother is taken care of,
Correct.
because she's not able to do a lot of things for herself. So you just get your kids with the understanding of it, of what it pertains to having a brother that's on the autism spectrum. Me personally, I'm actually with me having, him having siblings, I'm still trying to build a nest egg for him so that way they don't have to financially struggle. And as when my son was younger, a lot of things I couldn't do, far as like
Correct.
work is concerned. Um, he got off first. A lot of times his bus got to the house first, and then my two youngest ones get, the bus afterwards. So I had to make preparations for him to be able to be there. And so a lot of times it did not, it closed a lot of the doors for me being able to work a full-time job. So financially, I had got to a place where it was a little hard financially, it was a little tight squeeze financially. So I understand that even if you have a good job, you
Come on
still
now.
have to, take care of that kid, putting them in a place where you're able to do that job. And if you're not able to work for one reason or another because of with your kid and so forth, it gets even more tighter. So my goal and objective is not to put my kids, them younger children, in a compromising position when if and when something happens to me. And I always say, he's gonna be with me until, I leave this earth or until he leaves the earth, whichever one comes first. And
Correct.
that's just the real deal about everything. He's going to be here. He's gonna need that care. He's a little bit independent, so he stays in his room. He has his entertainment and so forth, but when it's time to get up and get him something to eat, when it's time to make sure he goes to sleep, because he's like a little kid, he'll stay up all night long if you let him. So when I know he has things to go, I gotta go in there. Hey, Rodney, it's time for you to go to bed. You got to get up in the morning. Making sure he's taking care of his hygiene, because sometimes it gets to the point where he don't want to get in the tub, because he's too busy doing what he want to do. So he does require that care. He doesn't require as much care as some children do because he's a little bit independent, but he still does require care. So,
So to that point, again, and you're speaking from a perspective that, like I said, I haven't reached yet because your son is, I keep forgetting, how old is he?
He's 26.
He's 26. So you guys, and I always say you guys, the ones that have already lived the adult facet, you guys were the pioneers of autism. So I will always pay homage to what you guys have done. We're in a different world. In
Hmm.
some ways, we've moved up, but in other ways, we've made no progress. And one of
Yes.
the areas that we've made no progress in is jobs.
Hmm.
Jobs do not consider what it takes, the amount of care for a child that's on the spectrum
Yes,
as they
ma'am.
go through certain things. Now, I have, in many ways, COVID assisted me to be fortunate because what did everybody do during COVID? They started working from home. Companies became receptive to it. But I can't imagine 26, 27 years ago when that wasn't even an option. So you're talking
Hmm.
about the financial stresses. I totally understand in many regards. People think that insurance covers everything or that you automatically qualify to get certain services because of your child. That's
Hmm.
not how it works. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I do like to target with families to talk about. The reality of it is this: it's expensive to have a child on the autism spectrum. And I'm not talking a little bit. I can be fully transparent on your show. I think I've shared with you before. It costs us $14K a year for
Mm.
our kids to have clinical therapy, and this is with insurance, PPO, the whole nine.
Hmm.
But the American insurance system is not set up for the amount of care. This isn't just a temporary put you in care. This, in some cases, it could be lifelong care. So as you can
Yes.
imagine, that's millions of dollars for certain families that's going to be spent medically, and that's the
Yes,
thing.
ma'am.
And when you talk about a situation where parents can't even have an employer that's willing to work with them, you now add an additional stress to it because now you put them in a position to choose. Do I have to do services for my child or do I starve to death because I can't find a job that's going to accept my schedule?
Hmm. Yes, ma'am. Real. That's real.
I mean, that's real. That's just what the
And
situation.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Those a lot of those remote jobs were not in existence
No,
at that time. So, and a lot of jobs are not going to say, oh, I need to get off because I need to go pick my son up, but I'll be back. They're not trying to hear that,
no. Production is
So,
production. They want that
yes,
bottom
ma'am.
line. That dollar is what it is. And then now you're moving to the next thing. Okay, let's say you were able to overcome the job hurdle. There's the financial scope of things. Like I just said, we spend 14K a year.
Yes,
And we're
ma'am.
not even talking about the top level of therapy because therapy can go way up there.
Yes,
There's
ma'am.
schools that cost, I think, somewhere around 60 a semester for your
Yes,
child
ma'am.
to attend a school that specializes in spectrum. Nothing like public schools, private schools. So it's
Yes, ma'am.
it's an overwhelmed system. And I, again, thank you for sharing your platform because the number of children that's diagnosed now is far greater than at the
Yes, ma'am.
time that your son was initially diagnosed. And now we're looking at something I mentioned to someone today. We're in a crisis level epidemic in the next 20 years because all of these 1 in 36s or 1 in 31 or 1 in 44, depending on what you read,
Hmm.
those are all going to be adults.
Yes, ma'am. That's real.
And we have in our community a lack of planning.
Mm.
I have a friend right now who also is an insurance agent as well, life insurance. Let's talk about that. Let's be real. That specializes in policies not just for yourself, but for your children. People don't even
Yes, ma'am.
realize it's difficult to get an insurance policy for autistic kids.
Because they have a diagnosis issue, and a lot of insurance don't
Companies
like
do not
to
accept
deal
them.
with pre-existing issues.
And
They don't
autism is
like that.
labeled as a pre existing condition, so therefore, it is unfortunate for many families that they struggle with the fact that if your child is likely to find some water, and we can leave it at that,
Mm.
the cost will be 100% on the parent.
That breaks my
Because,
heart.
and the thing is, a lot of parents don't know, and people, let me back up a second. I want to say this so the people that don't know what eloping is, let me educate some people. You could put all the door locks in the world on your house.
Hmm.
You could lock every window. These kids never lack in intelligence. These children that are also adults They can open up a door just like me and you. When that happens, there's a thing that's called eloping. Once they get outside, it is just something about the wind against their skin, the joy of being free and running about, being themselves. But when they find water, it looks good. It shines. It flickers to them in a way that you can't even imagine. It looks to them, I guess, so heavenly. They totally disregard the safety and the complexity of water itself and what it brings. This is why often you find out, especially in Houston, because we're surrounded by bayous and lakes and things of that nature for aesthetics, these children have no idea they're walking to their own deaths. Whether or not they suffer, we'll never know, but for the most part, they don't look at pain the same way we do. And it's heartbreaking to think that they see something that is so beautiful to them, and it's the most dangerous thing to them. So for the people that don't understand that eloping can happen in seconds, I mean, like they can hit that Jackie Joner, boom, boom, hit a lock, and they're gone. This is also why it's important to get your children therapy, because therapy will help them understand boundaries, safety. It's not your 100% fail safe. Nothing is 100%, but get you some door locks. Not the kind at the bottom of the door. Get it where they can't reach it. Get cameras for days. I know it's a cost, but it's worth the investment. Learn how to sleep light. That's the truth. That's what you got to do as an autism parent.
And that's just absolutely heartbreaking for me to hear about any child,
Yes,
anybody
Lord.
drowning. But because this child is so innocent thinking,
Yes.
and they're coming towards something that will, you know, that will be their demise, and they
Correct.
just and they succumb to it so quick. It doesn't take a whole lot for somebody, and it doesn't take a lot of water for
No.
somebody to drown, so I mean,
And to
that's just
be at
heartbreaking.
a child's services from drowning,
Mm,
unfortunately, I've had to attend. I wouldn't say a homegoing service, but I definitely attended a balloon release for a child that passed away from drowning.
wow.
And when I tell you it's the most heartbreaking scene that you will never forget, and I just want to encourage parents that it only takes a second
Yes, ma'am.
and do the best that
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can. And I know it's easier said than done. Them locks, I'll find a link. They like $9 on Amazon. You hear me?
Yes, ma'am. And them
Go spend that
cameras.
$9. Put them locks everywhere. The cameras I can't help you with. You might have to go on Amazon, shop around, get what you can get. But again, invest in your baby's safety. And I'm not talking about just get the little speaking monitor for the babies. No, I need you need cameras. You need to be around
Yeah.
there like
And
John
it makes a
Wick.
difference. Something
It
that has
does.
a motion detector on it, so when that child hits that room and come out that
Beep.
room or hits
It's
that door,
gone.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can see where they went. It's nothing
Correct.
worse to,
You
coming
get
out and
outside.
don't know, and they gone because they fast.
Yes, they are. I'm telling you, when hit a corner, they will slip a disc on you
Yes, ma'am.
if you're not careful. So that is just one of the things. And again, I do consult with parents. That is actually something that I do. That's nothing related to notary, but I don't mind having like a game planning session. Of course, for a certain amount of time, I don't mind talking. It's for free. But after a point, if we're going to seriously plan down the resources, then there's a fee associated with that. But I will
Yes,
give
ma'am.
you everything that you would need to go with that and go forward.
Give you a good start.
Yeah, I'll give you a good start. Now, after that, it's on you. You got to do the research. That's
Yes,
the
ma'am.
third thing. As a parent on
Yeah.
autism spectrum, the teachers at the school going to do what they can. The
Yes,
doctor's going
ma'am.
to do their job. The therapist is
And
going to
ask
do.
questions.
But that's what I was getting to. The parents have got to start being engaged. One of the things that breaks my
You
heart about
absolutely have
our
to.
African American community, I do not see a high number of engagement from our people. I'm sorry, I don't. I have
Yeah.
been to tons of events. And although we talk about it collectively online, when it's time to show up in person to these workshops, to get these resources, we are lacking in numbers. I see every other demographic, but it's like for us to publicly say, hey, let me go get this help, we're falling severely behind. Now, we're not dead last. There is other cultures that are far more strict than us, but as it relates to the community that I currently abide in, the point is I want to see us support each other better.
Yes,
in
ma'am.
terms of encouragement, in terms of the village concept, which is something we've already lost
Yes,
through
ma'am.
other economical and environmental factors. But for these kids, I think we need to tighten that up because they're going to need us.
I think it's a lot of this issue is the denial. You know,
Facts.
if you get out there and you start attending these things, that means now you're accepting and you have to deal with it head on.
Correct.
A lot of times, when you have these babies, they come out looking normal, looking what they consider normal, and you start
Some even
seeing these
start
different
talking.
developing. Yeah. And
They
they start doing.
talking.
Yes, ma'am. And they start developing and so forth, and then all of a sudden something shifts. And it's kind of like, okay, well, we'll just think, well, they just having a moment or what have you. They'll snap out of it and so forth. But you just have to be realistic. No, we don't want you jumping to conclusions, but we want you to be proactive. We
Facts.
want you to ask questions. I don't care if you think it's a stupid question. Ask that question. You'd rather ask that question now than regret it later.
Facts.
So
And, and,
um
and that's the most honest and transparent thing that we can say to any parent. If you notice something, it's okay to ask. And
mhm,
again, to your first point, don't whoop them because they don't understand. And let me be clear, they're smart, they can reason, they can do whatever. But there's something that's an aspect to it that's
yes,
not quite at the finish line of what understanding is. So you have to be conscious of that. You have to explain things different. If anything, autistic children teach you how to be patient.
yes, ma'am.
And they also teach you how to be careful with your words. They teach you
Mhm,
how to be more endearing, more empathetic. So for the people that say, "Oh, they're not emotional," no, they're very much emotional. That myth, let's go and dispel that. But they just show it in
mhm,
a different way, and you have to
yes,
adapt to that. And I think a lot of our parents, going to your point, they want to whoop them, stuff like that, and it's like, no, that's not going to it. Or on the flip side, they're in complete denial, and then we get videos like we see online. A lot of people ask me, "Is that how your kids act?" No, let me explain what happens. Again, I don't know this person's story, but if there is a lack of this, and this, it's complete difference in the kids that have had some kind of services. You can
yes,
clearly
ma'am.
see it. But for us, unless we ready to accept, it's not a curse. It's not a
No,
it's not a burden. As a parent, you don't mind. It's your child. So you know, is it easy? Absolutely not.
no.
But do you want to serve for your child? You will do whatever you can to serve for your child. And
And
that's
you
and
they deserve it. They deserve
yes.
all of you. 100% of you, they don't. It's not about blaming yourself, for what you did or what you feel like you did or what you could have did differently. The bottom line is this is something that's in front of you now. And
Facts.
and I want to highlight as well. I remember when I first had my son, the NICU nurse told me basically because I was married I was with his father at the time, and she basically told me a lot of times when you have children like this, it puts so much strain on the household to a lot of marriages don't make it through.
And I was going to touch on that as the last subject, especially in our community. Marriages in our community is already not a high yielded, let me say it like that,
Yes, ma'am.
percentage. The reality of it is, a lot of us get married young.
Mhm.
People don't talk about that enough. And we get divorced by our mid 20s, close to 30, because we probably got married at 18 because we thought we was in love. It happens. But also, with special needs parents, the divorce rate is 6 to 7 times more likely because if it's not the financial cost, it is the emotional disconnects that a lot of marriages deal with. And it's not easy. Sometimes mom checks out, sometimes dad checks out. There's little to no time for a typical life. Like you go out on dates, you go on vacation, you go on cruises. Most parents that have children on the spectrum, adult or child, they struggle with that piece of caveat. No different than any parent that probably has children that are dealing with other ailments, but specifically with autism, because it's never going to go away. As most people that have special needs children know, the marriage rate is just depletes. Someone gives up, someone says that, hey, I can't do this anymore. I want to live my life. I don't want to do this. I don't have time to date you. I don't have time to connect with you. It becomes a robotic system, and that marriages are tested, and you're already having to get to deal with just yourselves, and now you're throwing in the element of a child who can be an adult. So imagine your length of your marriage is going to be spent just raising children. It'll never be different. And I think for some people, they don't want to hear that. That's one part. The other part is the moment that the parent gets the diagnosis, many parents decide right then and there they're going to leave. And the crazy thing is about the spectrum, you could pick either side. It's not going to matter. Women are leaving, men are leaving, and they will never accept that their child is on the spectrum, unfortunately.
It's an unfortunate thing um, when people decide to walk away. Even in the midst of that, I'm still not judgmental about it because you just
Correct.
have to realize where your point of saying that, hey, this is too much for me.
Facts.
And if it's too much for you, just be honest with yourself. Um, I don't condone walking away from your children, but if it if it stresses you out to the point where you will become abusive towards your kids, mean and so forth, sometimes walking away is the best.
And,
I,
and, and, and I would say this as well. There's a situation I think, well, most recently, something that's not talked about enough. And you got to use the words carefully on this internet because they'll ban you for certain words. But the suicide rate
oh,
in the autistic community is 7 times higher than others as well, because it's a mix of things. It's a mix of parents that don't want to go before their children and parents that don't want
mm-hmm.
their children to live without them.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, it's a very delicate situation. Mental illness is real already,
Yes, it is.
but you add in a level of the spectrum, it triggers additional possibilities for you.
Stress.
And that stress can over a long period of time. Now I'm no psychologist, no counselor, but I know this as a human being. Over you sitting there too long,
Mm.
it could trigger something else that you didn't even know existed.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
definitely want to say to encourage parents, find somebody to talk to. Even if it's just to go to a random person on the autism moms group and vent,
Yep.
say something to somebody, because holding it in is it's a very tight place to be, and I don't wish that on anybody. I want everyone to be encouraged and to push through. It's not gonna be easy. I get it. I got two of them. Okay, one on the spectrum was a blessing. Okay, two of them, I guess we got double portion. So with that being said, having two children on the spectrum, it definitely, I will never discount to any parent that has one. My sister-in-law has three, right? So there's three of them,
Wow.
and she's doing it, and she's not even, in a situation that I have similar to that, and she's doing well. So I just want to say to the parents that are doing it on their own, dads or moms, you're wonderful for what you're doing. You're doing the best with where you're at. Nobody can judge you. I don't
No.
care who they are. They can't judge your situation. If you have never walked these shoes, it's not too many people that can speak on something that they've never been through. And
And these
this
some
isn't,
heavy shoes.
and it's some heavy shoes. And then it takes a lot to get to this place to even talk about it in front of people and out loud. There are so many people that won't say anything, and I hate to even throw it out there, starting with the church. You have a lot of church hurt autism parents.
That thinks that, and sometimes they think, and I haven't encountered this personally, but I know some churches think that they can pray it out of them. Oh, it's a demon, that child is possessed and so forth, it's not that. If they have a condition, you know then it's not demonic. They just, for
I
whatever
actually,
reason.
I actually mentioned that to a couple people today. friends of mine, and I said one of the hardest things about being a spectrum parent is church. Many of us are deeply root filled, and when I say church, I mean from my religious perspective, but that person may be Islamic or practice Buddhism. I don't know what they practice, but I'm just saying for me, it's hard when you go from attending Wednesday night Bible studies, Sunday night, praise and worship later in the evening, or Sunday midday service, and to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to bring your child because of multiple fear factors. First of all, what people are going to say, what are you going to think? And you're right. People do feel like something is like, oh, we just going to pray it away. God going to just fix them. I didn't say they were broken. If this is the way that God created them, what are we fixing? Is the way I look at it. And again, I'm praying that in the future, more churches are open to having ministries that are more inclusive with the autistic community thought out. I know that they may have a special needs ministry, but understand that apart from other special needs, autism is one of the only unique ones where a sound could make or break a day, or where a light can change a peaceful situation into an all-out meltdown, or if a space is too loud, it could trigger a whole behavior of a crying situation, eloping situation. It's the inclusion part that we need quiet spaces, that we need headphones, that we need compassion, and that we need to know that these are God's babies and they're not broken. So when you tell an autistic parent, we're going to pray it away, I just want you to think about that twice before you say that.
Yep. Pray for their mindset. Pray for their patience. Pray for their mental capacity. I tell people all the time, I have this thing that I call my patient plate.
Yeah. Yes.
When I'm dealing with something, I don't have room on my patient plate right now for this one. My patient plate is full, so I'm not going to put that on my patient plate. So,
Yes. And it's not
um,
to say that there's not churches out there, because there's a young lady I follow. Her name is Camille Joy. She has a podcast called Moments of Joy, and she found a list of churches in Texas, well, specifically Houston area, that allow for children to have inclusion. Now, I'm not gonna lie to y'all,
mhm.
that list is short. It's like 20 churches, and you gotta think about it. Houston has about what, 5 million people, but only
Mhm.
20 churches, and we got churches on every corner. And
Yep.
it's okay, because I do believe that as awareness continues, more people will be open, churches will be receptive, people
They
will
just have to
find
catch up.
that's all.
Yeah,
And
they
it's
have
just
to
like
catch
when
up.
it's anything that you're learning, you don't know what to expect. Because I got to think about it too. For them, they have to understand that they're accepting liability if something happens. So I understand it's not just, hey, your kid can't come. It's more so, what do we do? How do
Yeah.
we do? So I
Yeah.
do give the church that respect to say, I know that they're trying. It's just that they haven't found that footing. And they're trying like everybody else.
Yes.
90% of places we take our kids to don't have anything for kids with autism.
Yep.
Nothing.
Yep.
They don't
It's
have
hard.
inclusive playgrounds. They don't
Yeah.
have inclusive restaurants. They don't have any of those things. So 90% of what they have, we can't just single out one place or another, but inclusion is progressing. I will give
Yep.
it that. A lot of places are like look at this month, police departments are getting training. We have
How to recognize it.
how to recognize it.
And not thinking they on drugs, because that'd be the
Yes,
first. Because a lot of our kids get hurt because they think, okay, they're drunk, they're high, and so forth. And the reality
they're
is that's not the
stimming.
situation.
They're stimming. They don't know.
Yep.
They're nervous. They're probably flapping their hands, skipping
Mhm.
around. They can't sit down. They can't, just sit still for that moment. So I am grateful for that. Then moving past that, you got airlines and amusement parks. Of course, they want their money, but they're
Yep.
investing in autism awareness and inclusion because they've already figured out that, again, in 20 or so years, this same 1 to 31, 36, 44, whichever stat you read, are going to be
Mhm.
adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
where are they going
remember
to
one
go?
time my son actually got put out of daycares because they're saying that they're not able to handle them and so forth. They're not able to give them that
That
one on
happened to my
one like in
son.
the school. So now I've been very, very fortunate. Fortunate. Most of the churches that I've went to, I always make. Well, I guess because I looked for it within the church. One particular church that's in the Houston area, Wheeler Avenue Baptist
Yes,
Church.
Lord. I heard about them.
They are
They on the
wonderful.
list. They on the
Yes,
list,
ma'am.
by the way.
When I say when my son was younger, now once he turned 16, once he got to a certain age, he came into the sanctuary with me, but they never turned him away.
That's good.
Never. And he never got to the point where he didn't want to go or what have you. But if it did, happen like that, they would have, we had like these little beepers and so forth. So if the kids having a meltdown, then you can come, try to calm them down or come get them or what have you. But I've never had a problem
That
with
is so
Willa
awesome.
Avenue. They was amazing, and he went to children's church. So Willa Avenue is definitely on that list.
Yes, they
And of
are.
course, of course, the church that I go to now, but I'm in East Texas. But my pastor is awesome. He loves seeing Rodney come, and he gives him a hug. Everybody always gives him a hug and talk to him and compliment him. Hey, Rodney. And there's this one lady that always looks at him. She said, "I like your eyes."
Hmm. And I didn't think about that. I love about, kids on the spectrum, they receive compliments so well in the most genuine capacity. And like I said, if people have ever had a chance to sit down with them, now I'm not going to say off the bat when they meet you, they're going to be so open. But if you give them some time,
Yeah.
uh, my son is quite the jokester. That's what he loves to do. He likes to play hide and seek with me. That's his favorite game. And then, of course, we have like a banister upstairs. So he loves Lion King. So his thing lately, he'll hang his lion off the thing and says, "Long live the king." And he does that like 100 times. He
How
drops him down.
cute.
But then if you met him, he's probably not going to give you immediate eye contact. He's probably not going to make any sounds. He's just very reserved. And I'm glad for his progress now, and I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in the future because we're finally on short sentences. And he's 5, so he just started talking right after his 5th birthday.
Okay. Yeah, that
Yes.
Lion King is something else. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it is about that Lion King. My baby loved Lion King. He would sit there and would play it and play it and play it, and at the end, when he riled, he
Yes,
right
the
along
whole
with him,
yes.
and he knew the movie like nobody's business. He learned the whole entire movie. So if you're looking for a movie for your kid, Lion King is
Lion
definitely that
King
movie.
on the spectrum for sure. Lion King. The other one for Ava is the Princess and the Frog. Oh,
Okay.
we've watched Princess and the Frog so many times, and and when I tell you that's the movie right there. But I think with them the most that they like give them things they can do with their hands. I know for my kids,
Mhm.
just being able to do something with you brings them more joy than anything else.
Yes, ma'am.
Having an assignment, believe it or not, brings my kids the most joy. And like I didn't realize it, like they were mimicking me cleaning up, for example. I'm just like always so used to y'all sit over there, let mommy clean up, and now that they're mimicking to them, they have a sense of pride. And I'm just sitting there like, that broom ain't even hitting right. But you know what? If that's what makes you happy, I want to make you
He
comfortable
want to
enough.
do the motions, huh?
Yes, he does. And if I'm
It'll eventually make it to the
exercising,
ground. It'll eventually make it
yes,
to the ground.
yes, exercising, same thing. And so I'm just grateful to God because at the end of the day, some parents on the spectrum may not even get that because
Yes,
there are
ma'am.
things such as levels that they have. You have level one, which are children that probably have minor accommodations. Those are truly high functioning. Level two, of course, they are high functioning, but they require more accommodations to keep them with a strategic schedule. Um,
Mhm.
but then there's level three. Level threes, they typically may or may not ever communicate at a certain level, and they will require 24/7 care. And those are the parents that you pray for because typically they have to place their children in facilities. And I think that's something else that's not talked about enough either. Is
No judgment.
no judgment on that as a parent. If
Mhm.
you have to place your child in a facility because you just cannot handle the 24/7 care they require, you are not a bad parent.
No. No, not
You
at all.
do not feel as though you cannot go see your children, things like that. Many of these facilities, they have a very open door policy. Of course, I haven't reached that level yet. I do hope to connect with the family at some point to kind of get their insights. That's not what I'm planning for the future, but at the end of the day, it's important to research everything. You do not
Yeah.
know what the future holds. And if I get too old, I need to be thinking, hey, where can I place my child in the best productive environment? And
Yeah,
so that's
realistically.
and let's be realistic with it because I didn't
You
have
come
my
you may be
kids.
on this side of your peak, and they may be coming up this way. So I mean,
Correct.
it's kind of that thing where, hey, physically I'm not able to, do these things,
Correct.
for my kid and handle these particular behaviors.
Correct.
And no judgment. I hear people say stuff like that. I remember one particular lady that put her son in a facility, and they just bad mouthed her. Yeah, he put her son in that facility and blah 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 blah. And my thing is, you don't know what this woman goes through. You
No,
know, you're not there. Do you go over there and help her out when she needs help? If you ain't helping her out, then keep your mouth to yourself and let her handle her business.
that's the thing that I think someone talked about. I shared her video the other day. Her name's Robin, and she mentioned that what got her through was having people to step in
Hmm.
as needed. Now her son's in college, and things
I
like
seen that
that.
one.
Yes, he's in college, and the thing is, it's just that she had that village, and that's a, I hate to say it, a rare blessing because for many of us, the village is probably just you, and if not you, if you're blessed, you and your partner. But outside of that, it's probably just one person. Because at some point in this journey, it will be just one person, no matter how you slice it. Whether mom and dad are together or apart, one of you is going to go, and it's going to be that one person is going to have to carry the torch for that child.
Yes, ma'am. Speaking of my baby, he just drove up. His lady came and is dropping him off. So let me go run out here and go get him if I could ever get this thing to do right. Um, do you have any events coming up? Tell us about your events.
Yes, so right now I have, well, let's think about it. I've done a couple of things this week. Actually, I'm going to be doing a volunteer engagement project on tomorrow, and it's not something that I actually publish publicly. So I will probably share a lot of photos on my Facebook page and on my Instagram, but it will be for a school, like I mentioned before, that specifically manages and works well within our community for children that are on the spectrum. That's coming up this week, actually tomorrow. So besides that, I will be doing a speaking engagement on the 25th. Um, and that's the only two things I have rounding out this month so far. Not to say that I won't end up getting in the middle of something later, because I have done that
Okay.
quite a bit over this last few weeks. Um, it's been full of surprises this month. I can definitely tell you that. I have met a large number of people that have been just nothing but positive in support for the autism community. So I am very, 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 very grateful. And again, I'm just happy that we keep rocking it out, and more people are ready for awareness. So I'm grateful.
Yes, ma'am. I have seen a lot more um people, posting about celebrating it and so forth. So I am super excited
Mm-hmm.
that people are becoming more and more aware of it, putting that information out there, supporting one another because that's the only way we're gonna make it through this thing is support.
Yes.
Um, Miss Marie, can you please, if you have any flyers, any digital flyers, please share that with me, and I would love to post it on
Yes.
I'll post it within the it's in a book event page, so that way people are able to see it, come out and support, participate in it, because this is something that it takes a collective effort, and
And,
so we
and
definitely
and
want
definitely, I'm
people
about to
to.
figure out how to see if I have anybody in East Texas. See if I can get some people rallied up down there because I know that you're down there. So I'll be digging up something. I'm gonna look around because we're
Yes, ma'am.
always one of the organizations that I'm with. We're always looking to expand throughout Texas. So I can definitely
Okay.
check around and see. if there's something available. So if you have anything in mind as well, please, I will reach far to collaborate. So I do not mind at all.
Yes, ma'am. It's actually a couple, at least one group that I know about. I can send the information to you. The young lady that actually takes my son out for respite care, her mother works for a company called Health Corps, which is that deals with the ACSs. For anybody who do not know what that is, that's a waiver program.
Yes.
The waiver program is something that you need, no matter if your kid is 10 years old, what have you, sign up for it now. Because what it will do is once you come up on that list, they will actually start to pay you to care for your son. Um, the one thing I didn't do with my kid that some people do, and it's a personal decision, I didn't do the guardianship. From what it was explained to me, unless you have a child that walks out or runs out or goes out and get in trouble, guardianship doesn't necessarily is needed because they're not a risk. If you put them on guardianship, that protects them. Now that's how it was explained to me. So I didn't do the guardianship. So actually, for almost a year now, I have been getting paid to take care of my son after years and years taking care of him. That's my kid, with no additional payment other than SSI and his father paying child support. A year ago, I was able to get this program came up, and I'm able to get care for him, as well as they give me X amount of hours in what they call respite care. Respite care is something that give you a break from caring for your kid. Now you don't necessarily have be a part of the ACS program or Texas Home Living, which is a waiver program, in order to get respite care. Respite care can be provided through other ways.
Right.
Another thing that you can possibly do once your kid get a certain age is do day half. You could do day half through your child's insurance. My son has Medicaid because he has through his SSI. So they will provide for a day half service where they go and they interact with other kids like them and the other adults like them, and just interact and have social time.
Good.
So those are some of the things that you may want to look into, even when your kid is young, 10 years old, 8 years old. That list for that ACS program is extremely long.
I
We
know. I was told that waiting list right now, when my kids first got diagnosed, and this was 7 years ago, by the way, they said that wait list is 20 years.
hmm it is. I mean, I
20
waited
years.
over 10 years for it, but this was before, they had a slew of people that was, signing up for a program. But I can honestly believe you. There's a 20-year wait, so you definitely want to start now and put them on there. So by the time your kid gets grown, 26, 27, however age, their name comes up on the ACS list, you definitely want to do that because that will help you out tremendously, give you that much needed break. It's not income based, so it's
No, it's
services
not.
that you would get regardless of what financial situation you're in, whether below poverty level or you make really good money or what have you. It's not income based, so it's something that would help you out and give you a break. Because everybody needs that break.
And then
So.
there's so much that, and I just Googled it really quickly for those that are in Texas. Just go to the Texas Health and Human Services website, and it has the actual waiver forms. You can
Mhm.
get them yourself. There's multiple forms, so I would tell you to kind of research them. But
Mhm.
that there's so many things that's out there. But like I said, the process just takes a really long time.
It
It's,
does.
and so we're going to continue to pray as we progress into more autism awareness, and as the world grows, to kind of speed up that process a little bit, because 20 years on a waiting list for a waiver. Again, my kids are going to be adults by the time they come up on the top of that list. So, yeah, we're going to hope that it gets faster over the next decade or so, hopefully.
Yes, ma'am. And it's I mean, if you want to if you're a political person, you want to get involved politically, that's something that you could work on, building the budget. for these children that needs this help, and voice how imperative it is. Although I'm mama, but once they get grown, then
Yep.
that child possibly becomes community.
Correct.
um do you want that? If that mother closes her eyes because of stress and never wakes up again, somebody has to take care of that child. So we want to take care of our, and I say mother a lot, but father as well. It's just really, I watch these videos of this father and his son dancing, and I think it's really, really cool how he interacts with his son and so forth, and gives them something to look forward to, because the young man really looks like he's having a good time, and the father looks like he's having a good time too. So they just, dancing it on up. And you see this kid, you'll never guess he has, autism, because, these children look
The same
normal,
until
you
they
know.
open their mouths, and then you figure out, wait a minute,
Yes.
something's a little different. So that, and we definitely say that autism is the only faceless disability. Every other disability you can pinpoint, you could
Yeah.
find. You know when a child has Down syndrome. You know when a
Yeah.
child has ADHD, epilepsy. But autism doesn't present at all sometimes at first, and you figure it out later.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And sometimes, once they figure it out, sometimes it could be too little, too late. So it's imperative that we take care of these babies. Take care of the parents that's caring for these children.
Yes,
It's a community effort, um, to make these things happen, because again, if something happened to the parents due to stress, somebody has to take care of these children. So let's keep these parents healthy and keep
yes,
them as stressless as possible. And there's
yes.
no such thing as being stressless when you
That's a
have kids,
word. That's a,
period.
that's a word. So, yes. Thank you so much again. I greatly appreciate you so much, Tammy.
Oh, anytime, Miss Marie. I thank you so much for getting online with me, and doing this live with me as always. We've been on here almost an hour, so we're gonna go ahead and shut it on down, because we're gonna be back next week, because we're gonna rock it on out to the end of this month.
Yes,
Autism representing, get those keychains, get those necklace, just represent, let the world know, shout it from the rooftop, that I have an autism kid, you
absolutely.
know, because those are your babies.
Amen. And that's a word.
So, yes, ma'am. So, Miss Marie, do you have anything that you would like to share with us before we close the live out?
Nothing this time, but I'm pretty sure I got some stuff on next Friday, so we're going to see.
All right. Now, I had a couple comments, so I want to be able to put them on.
Yes.
Um, so one young lady says, I would love to see parents become highly successful entrepreneurs. So we talked about the financial aspect of taking care of autism kids or having a kid that's special needs. Uh, Entrepreneurship is one of those things, is a direction to go. Some of us may not never looked at being an entrepreneur, but entrepreneurship is definitely a good direction to go. You could build something like Miss Marie around your kid, or you can build something, for yourself, or whatever the situation being, that gives you the independence that's needed. Because it's a lot easier to tell your client, well, I can't come through. Let's schedule this for later on, because my autism kid is with me, versus telling your employee, I can't come into work at 8 o'clock because my autism kid is around. Which one you think sounds better, is going to work out the best for you?
Yes.
So, and then the same young lady made a comment, as a second comment as well. Everybody's threshold is different,
That's
and
the
that's,
truth.
yes, ma'am, and that's when we was talking about handling children that have these particular issues. Um, knowing when you're saying I have enough, and what you need
Right.
to do when you have enough. So, definitely. So, and that was all the comments that we have. We want to thank Miss cool. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce
Miss
the
Rock.
name. So yeah,
Miss
we go
Rock.
Miss Rock,
Yes.
cause I'm a massacre that. So I'm gonna leave that alone. So
Yes.
So that's it, you guys. I want to thank y'all so much for being online with me, for watching. If you're coming back and listen to the replay, please let me know where you're hailing from. Let me know if you have any thoughts on it. Let me know if you have an autism child in your life. We want to hear from you. We want to be to bring you resources. If you need resources, if you have questions, we want to hear from you. So, again, my name is Tammy Martin, and I was your host for the It's in the Book Show, as well as the business owner of KRC Bookstore. And we have Miss Marie from
Guiding Care
God and Care. Now, she also has a page,
and Aaron's World. Those were my
Ava Aaron's
children's
World.
stories. Absolutely. Ava and Aaron's World.
Beautiful book, beautiful books, lots of bursting with colors. It's a very amazing book. It talks about, it's based upon her children and so forth,
And it's they're little adventures for now. We'll see how it grows.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And there's nothing wrong with that. Take what you're going through and put it in a book. You never know how it may affect somebody, bless somebody, get somebody through that hard day that they're having at that moment. And a lot of times we don't think about these kids. I mean, we can only imagine how stressful it is for these children to be
Thanks.
in this place. If you ever seen anybody that has Tourette's, and I seen a young lady that talked about having Tourette's, and she talks about how it it's tiring for her to do all them different ticks. So if you take that and you apply it to an autism kid, I mean, how stressful you think it is for them to have to deal with certain things and not being able to express themselves because we don't know what goes on in here.
No.
They could be completely normal in here and just not able to verbalize it. So how stressful is that? So, we think about the stress level for the parents and think about the stress level for the children. Let's not leave them out.
Absolutely.
So.
I agree.
All right, Miss Marie. Next week I am hoping to have a recording from a young man who actually is an autism. Well, he's a special needs teacher, and he has a special needs son. So we hope to have a recording for him. He was a little bit under the weather today, so DeAndre, hope you feel better. Hope you feel better. Much love to you and what you're doing. So we hope to have him. Either with a recording or being on live. And we hope to have Miss Marie, if her time permits, to be on with us next week as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, you guys. Much love to you.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye.